Are you the king or queen of your thoughts? Maybe you're not as in control as you think you are. Today I want to give you 3 keys that will change your thinking, let you take control of your mind and become the king or the queen of your thoughts. And when you do that, you can manifest anything in life you want to manifest. There are 3 keys to taking control of your thoughts, becoming the king or the queen of what you think about and what directs your life. And we're going to jump into them today. The first one is agency. The second one is energy. And the third one is attention. Let me tell you what this is all about. This is your brain. Did you know that only about 5 to 10% of the thoughts you think are thoughts that you are intentionally thinking? And trust me, there's a lot of those. You have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day if you're like the average person. And those thoughts that you are thinking are mostly thoughts that have been built into your hardwiring over the course of your life. Those thoughts are coming primarily from your subconscious. About 90 to 95% of our thoughts that we think on a daily basis are happening right here in the subconscious autopilot part of our brain. This part of our brain has been hardwired since we were kids. It's fully formed in most people to who they're going to always be around the age of 30. Most of the ways you're going to think and behave and act are based in this subconscious programming. And around 30, unless you rewire it and do some of the things we're talking about today, you're going to keep on being the same person you've always been. Only about 5 to 10% of your thinking goes on up here at the conscious level where you're directing your thoughts. And you know the thoughts you're thinking and why you're thinking them. I've got to go screw this screw into this place in the wall and hang this picture. You're thinking and directing only about 5 to 10% of that kind of thinking in your life. So how do we rewire this? How do we reprogram this to live the life we want to live? Because if you're like most of us, you're probably living some version of the life you love, but you have bigger dreams and you have bigger hopes and you have bigger aspirations. So I want you to know you can accomplish them, and I want to help you do that. By the way, if you haven't subscribed already, now's a great time to do that. Feel free to leave comments below if you have questions. I want to help you in future videos about how to live the life of your dreams, because I'm living mine and I know you can do it. Over the last year, I've rewired my brain, changed my thinking, and it's changed it all for me. So what are these 3 things? Well, the first thing is agency. We have to take control of our agency or our self-agency. Agency is basically your ability to put yourself in the driver's seat of your life. Most of us ride along in life as if we are passengers. I grew up in an evangelical church world. I became an evangelical pastor for over 30 years. And I used to believe that I was kind of a passenger in the car of life. And don't get me wrong, I believe in source, in God, and supernatural force, that guide in the universe that has so much more for your life than you can possibly think or imagine. But for so long, I viewed that energy source, that force, as something or someone that was in control of all of it. And I was just in the driver's seat and along for the ride. And if certain things weren't decided for me, then they weren't going to happen. I remember one time my wife and I were at this church in the heart of the Bible Belt in the South for about 6 years, and things had gotten miserable for the last couple of years there. We were at an all-time low in income emotionally. We were tapped out. There were a lot of problems and things, a lot of good people there, but a lot of problems going on. And I remember walking this neighborhood over and over with my wife and us talking back in those days about how are we ever going to get out of this, and praying, God, please deliver us from this place. It never crossed our minds that we could stand up and remove ourselves from this situation and pursue bigger and better things. We were so caught up in our normal way of thinking. Our subconscious was so hardwired with that thought that we're not in the driver's seat. The truth is, you can put yourself through agency, self-agency specifically, in the driver's seat of your life. And the way we do that is we get aware of the thoughts that we are thinking. We have to become aware of everything we think and why we think it, and we start to change those thoughts, and we start to take them in a new direction and hardwire our subconscious to believe new beliefs. If 90 to 95% of your life is running from right here in your hardwired, pre-programmed brain, then if you can change this, if you can change the master computer, you can change it all. And you can change this. The great thing about the subconscious is it's a belief machine. It believes anything we tell it to be true, to be true. It doesn't know the difference in reality and visualizing reality. So when you start to think new thoughts and visualize new things, put yourself through agency in the driver's seat of your life, you start to rewire this thing and it starts to believe new things. Now, this is not going to happen overnight. Like I said, it's taken me about a year to begin to rewire mine, and I'm not fully there yet, but I'm getting there, and things are changing, and they can change for you as well. Now, kind of the second part, or the second key, if you will, of this equation to rewiring your brain, becoming the king or the queen of your thoughts, is energy. How are you directing your energy in your life? The truth is, you've got a lot of potential energy stored up inside of you. Now, potential energy is energy that's not yet in motion. There are all kinds of things waiting right in here in your subconscious to be activated. The problem is you've gotten caught up in a state of beliefs over time that has clouded you to the potential energy that is within you. Imagine that these right here are dominoes. You know how when you used to line dominoes up as a kid and you tip them and watch them all fall over? When you get them all lined up in each of these dominoes, there are potential energy. There is the energy waiting to be unleashed. That is what is going on in your subconscious. But the problem is we are caught in a fog of our past beliefs. I love what James Doty says in his book, Mind Magic. He said it's kind of like we are on a mountain and we live up here at the top of the mountain, and every day we take a drive in our little world at the top of the mountain. And people have told us there's all these lush lands and beautiful lakes and streams at the bottom of the mountain. There's all this gorgeous stuff. But because of the fog around the mountain, you've never seen it. So every day you get out and you drive around the top of the mountain for your daily trip to get out and about in nature. And then one day you drive all the way to the top of the mountain, and from up there you can see past the fog, and suddenly you see what you've been told of all your life, that down in the valley there's all these gorgeous things happening: streams, rivers, lakes, nature, animals, all these things going on down below you. And for the first time you see it for yourself. Now what happens? Now you're moving from a state of information into a state of visualization, into belief. You're starting to see it with your own eyes for the first time. Suddenly, the potential energy that's locked up in here becomes kinetic energy. You tip the first domino and that energy is released, and it tips the next domino and the next domino. What happens when we live our life? We live in this fog region for so much of it. We go through our life believing that maybe there's a bigger potential, wishing that we had a bigger potential, hoping that one day somebody in the driver's seat of our life, whoever or whatever force that is for you, is going to direct us into our destiny. And the truth is, we have to get in the driver's seat. Now, I believe we are co-creators with our source, with God, with that ultimate energetic force, whatever you want to call that power. I believe we co-create with that power, and we can do amazing things once we do. But it's never going to happen until you get into the driver's seat and you start programming your thinking in new ways down into this subconscious, and you release your potential energy into kinetic energy. And when you do that, you set in motion a whole new life. Now, if you're wondering, how do you do that? I'm going to tell you here in just a minute. And it comes down to this third thing, and that is our attention. It's when we start to pay attention in our lives to what is really going on, specifically when you start to pay attention to your thoughts. How do we do that? Most of your life is lived not really thinking about what you're thinking about. Did you know that? You don't really spend a lot of time thinking about what you're thinking for the most part, or why you're thinking it. The moment you realize you have this innate power to back up mentally away from the thoughts you're thinking and watch yourself think those thoughts and start to think about why you're thinking those thoughts, now guess what you've done? You've moved from potential energy to kinetic energy. You've gotten up above all of it. Now you're seeing down past the fog, and you're seeing new potentials and new realities and new abilities start to pop up in your life. You have gotten out of the fog. You're now in the driver's seat. And now, because you're paying attention to what you're thinking and why you're thinking those thoughts, you are about to change it all. Now, on this channel, I offer you advice on how to do this. This is kind of the platform. This is kind of the basis. Like I said, subscribe if this helps you. Tell me in the comments, what is it you are struggling with today? What potential do you want to unlock? But because of limiting beliefs, we'll talk about that in another video, it's holding you back, and you don't believe that you have this potential energy in you, or you've not set into motion this kinetic energy. I want to challenge you to start reprogramming right here, your subconscious, to start thinking new thoughts, believing new things, to rise above it all, get on top of the mountain and see the view from up there of what your life could be like when you start to think new thoughts and live in new ways. You can do it. I believe in you. You need a new agency. You need to begin to see yourself in the driver's seat of your life. You need a new energy, an energy that is not just potential, but kinetic, that's moving in the right direction. And you need to start paying attention to the new life you want, thinking new thoughts and paying attention to why you're thinking the old thoughts that got you where you are right now. You can change it all, and it starts today.